all going to Las Vegas this fall. All of us. Everybody seeing on the screen here going to Las Vegas. Kenn Rashad knows all the places to go. He hangs out there quite frequently. He has a compound out there in Vegas. He's going to take us to the Bellagio, get some slots, watch a little football. Ain't that right, Kenn Rashad?
I'm going to be out there next week.
Next week? Oh, wow. Scouting the place out already, huh?
Oh, well, Valentine's Day, couples retreat.
Oh, I see.
Go see a little baby face. You
ain't going to see Usher?
No, I'm going to see Babyface.
Usher's a threat. That's why you ain't going to see him.
Actually,
the wife loves Babyface.
What the funny thing about Babyface is he's written a lot of stuff for Usher, and the crazy thing is during his concerts he does like medleys of stuff he's written for other people. So, was my microphone off?
Tap it. Fix it.
Oh boy.
30 seconds in the show and already with microphone problems.
Testing again.
There you go. All right. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So Babyface does medleys of songs he's written for other people. So, and in the missus still might hear some Usher anyway because he's written as well.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah. Right. I've seen him quite a few times, so yeah, I know about that melody.
Definitely going to talk about Vegas and its importance for this show and for the football season coming up. That's Kenn Rashad. He's the boss. That's Chris Stevens, who's an advocate for monorail, apparently.
Because I don't like to fly. Y'all talking about flying to Vegas. Don't think I won't rent a car and drive 3,000 miles from Wilmington, Delaware to Las Vegas, Nevada. Because I'll do it.
Really?
No, you don't want to do that. No.
No, you don't want to do that.
That's like planes, trains, automobiles. You need John Candy with you.
Good point. Especially now. I mean, I might need to bring the Green Book with me, considering where we are in this country. So I guess I just had to figure out a way to fly. But yes, high-speed rail. If this country was ever serious about infrastructure and different things, we'd have high-speed rail. The Europeans and the Asians have been kicking our butt with that for 50 years. So that's just been what I've been researching the last few weeks.
I toured Europe with via rail. Believe me, it's legit.
Well, we're not going to Europe. We're going to Vegas. So out of your mind, Kenn Rashad. But anyway, we're going to talk about the big news of the week. Grambling State will play Jackson State in Las Vegas in October. Our main man, Kenn Rashad, broke the story this week. Yeah, you broke the story. Look how happy you are to break the story. Wore a suit and everything. So according to Kenn Rashad's reporting, a source told him that Grambling and Jackson State will play at Allegiant Stadium, home of the Raiders, October 25th. This deal was kind of brokered by Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, who was committing $350,000 to support the game. Organizers said the partnership highlights the city's efforts to expand its presence in sports and entertainment while celebrating HBCU culture. No kickoff time or ticket information has been made available just yet, but it will be in the future. So, Kenn Rashad, how did you find out about this, and kind of like what does it mean for everybody involved?
So I have, to be quite honest with you, was aware of the possibility of this game happening for quite some time now. And let's just say this: Grambling has a friend that works in the has an awful lot of pull and influence in Las Vegas municipality affairs, and I do mean really big. So he was the primary reason that Grambling played there back in, I forgot what year that was, when they played against Tennessee State. That was the 90s, I believe. And he had a key role in a number. I think there was what UNLV, was it Howard? Who was it? Which team won that game in Las Vegas? It was an HBCU team that Howard beat somebody.
It was Howard because it was that was the year that Cam Newton. Yeah, that was the year Cam Newton's little brother was the quarterback. Right.
So, but there was another HBCU matchup that this person was responsible for. So, have been talking about this for quite some time, And I knew that it was a possibility, but the thing is that they never really indicated who the teams were. Now, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau basically agreed to be one of the sponsors, in which, they committed $350,000 to the event. That's not the total, but that's, to kind of get things going. And once, there were some rumblings and rumors that were going around talking about the possibility of the two teams involved, which, again, I knew that too. But the delay was basically in, just waiting for for it to become a done deal. And now it is a done deal. Now, here is something that some folks may not be aware of, and that this is not a game that is your traditional matchup in which, you've got the broker, or if you got the event organizer with a contract between Grambling and Jackson State. This game was actually negotiated between the Las Vegas Visitor and Conventions Bureau and the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So this game is an agreement between the folks in Vegas and the SWAC office, or Dr. Charles McClellan. So I'm told. So this will be a conference game. This game initially was supposed to be played in Jackson. It needs to be understood that Jackson will be considered the home team, and thus, as it relates to monies, this is not one of those things where each of the teams get paid the same amount. This is a home team. This is a home game for Jackson, as it would have been had Grambling played Jackson State in Jackson, in which how it typically works, especially in conference and homes, is the home team gets the gate pretty much, and then the proceeds. And then the traveling team will pay the necessary expense to come play. And then the following year, it's vice versa. The team that traveled to that will host it. They get the benefit of the gate. That's the one of the benefits of conference play, revenue sharing, supporting each other, and so forth. This is pretty much the same thing. So I say all that to say that, for what it's worth, it's not like, so Jackson State will get the majority of the gate. Okay. I don't know what the formula is. It's not that they won't get everything, but Jackson will get, will basically, in essence, Jackson State will receive more than Grambling because it is a home game for them. And this will basically help make up whatever revenue that they would have gotten in Jackson. The same thing applies to Grambling. The benefit to Grambling is that, yes, they get paid to make the trip, but whereas if this game had been in Jackson and Grambling travels to Jackson, Grambling is out whatever it costs to get to Jackson, as opposed to going to play this game in Las Vegas and not having to pay, or should I say, not having to lose any money as a result of playing in Vegas. So when you put in consideration that you're giving these student athletes the experience of playing in an NFL venue located in Las Vegas, that's a win-win. School doesn't lose any money. Everybody wins. Thus, Grambling and Jackson State are playing in Vegas. So this isn't your traditional thing. I'm saying this because there were likely, I already saw some of the social media comments as to why they're playing. It's a big mistake, not necessarily knowing why, not knowing all the details and the specifics, but it needs to be understood that this is an agreement, as I understand it, is an agreement between the Conventions Bureau and the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Well, that definitely sheds some light on a very interesting, development here. And I think this is huge for both programs, because this is a chance for JSU and Grambling to be seen at a larger level. I mean, it doesn't get much larger than the Celebration Bowl and what Jackson State experienced, but Grambling, this is old hat for the Tigers. I mean, this is a school that once played a college football game in Japan, for crying out loud, during the Eddie Robinson days. They've played at Yankee Stadium. They've played in NFL stadiums before. So this is new to Grambling, and it's not necessarily new to Jackson State either, but I think these are the two best representatives from that conference to go represent the SWAC in Las Vegas, because these are two traditionally strong programs. When you think about Grambling with Doug Williams and Buck Buchanan and Ernie Ladd, and most recently guys like Bruce Eugene, folks like that. And then we take into account Jackson, who has Walter Payton, Jackie Slater, Robert Brazil, Dr. Doom. You know, these folks, and, you know, more modern guys that like Esias Guthrie and James Houston IV. These are the best two schools that the SWAC could have picked to broker this deal. And I think that's the smart move to send those two, because like it or not, they are the gold standard in the Southwestern Athletic Conference when it comes to football. So when you put those two teams on a flight to Las Vegas, you put them in that beautiful, well, I won't call it beautiful. We'll just call it big, because it honestly looks like a diaphragm on the outside. But it's still you're gonna get about 30 to 40,000 people just out of curiosity anyway. So you can't beat that deal. So that's a wonderful deal for Jackson and Grambling, and hopefully Mickey Joseph can hit the recruiting trail and make this a good game.
I actually had a chance to. I actually had a chance to visit. I got a chance to see the Raiders play when I was there in January. It was the Raiders and Chargers, and it's actually a pretty nice venue. It's not a massive structure, but it's intimate, and it has a certain state of the art likeness to it. But I get it. It isn't it may not necessarily be suitable for some in their taste. But when you put in consideration the extremely, extremely hot summers,
Yeah,
it is more than appropriate for how it should be utilized there in Vegas and so forth. One other thing too. And I think it was Mo Carter that put this out there about that particular week. That might be probably one of the better marquee weekends for HBCU football that we've seen sometime. I think he indicated that on that same day, October 25th, while Grambling was playing Jackson State, that same day, I think he stated that FAMU is going to be playing Southern. And that is also the same day as the Magic City Classic. So, that will be as it relates to rivalries and contests between traditional foes, that may be a pretty marquee weekend.
Yeah, Ken, I was going to ask, like, with this game being in Las Vegas, you think this is Vegas's dipping their toe in the water to get more Black House football games in the future, or is this a one-off thing?
Well, look, Vegas is being very strategic. Not only is this an attempt to get more HBCUs into Vegas, but keep in mind, and I posted a link to the story, but not only is Vegas trying to be a player and getting HBCUs to come to Vegas, is also trying to be a player and getting the college football playoffs there as well. So, it is Vegas. And they can flex a little bit. It's an attractive destination, but they definitely want to be a player in the college football playoff situation. And haven't really heard anything about Super Bowls, but I can't imagine it not being a part of that scene at some point. Vegas has got a lot going on, man. The Oakland A's are going to be moving there. They've got a structure that's going to be built. I think that's supposed to be, done in like 26 or 27. But just a lot going on in Vegas right now. So if you're if you live in Vegas, there's some money coming in, more than what normally comes in. I'm just saying. So
I'm curious about the attendance. Like, I know Jackson State travels well everywhere they go. Do you think from the Grambling standpoint, will they have big numbers coming out to Vegas?
Big numbers in terms of attendance?
Yeah.
I can't imagine why they wouldn't. Grambling has a pretty nice size base in LA, and I'm from that area, and there already is a buzz. So I think that game is going to do very well. Very well. We already know what J-State folks can do. But when you put in consideration the uniqueness of the venue, where it's located, and the proximity to Vegas, Phoenix, as well as Los Angeles, I think Chris said 35 to 40,000. I think that's a good solid number, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. I mean, I wasn't around when Grambling played in Japan, but I mean, Vegas
I
is
wasn't
like
either.
Japan
I
of
mean,
the
I
United
just
States.
I wasn't either. I just did the research.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the comments. Someone's saying, "Do we know the financials?" And so someone's saying that each team gets 750,000 each. Each team will not be getting 750,000 each. I did indicate that this deal is one in which the payments are not going to be equal because Jackson State is going to be the home team. This is a conference game that typically was slated, or that originally was slated to be played in Jackson, in which Grambling was supposed to travel to Jackson. So much in the same fashion, Jackson will receive more than Grambling, as would normally be the case. The win for Grambling is that Grambling doesn't necessarily come out of pocket to make the trip, because when they make the trip to Vegas, it's a plus. They get paid, but they're not going to get paid the same amount as whatever Jackson's going to get. So I'm just saying now, Jackson's going to get more of the money, as they should, because they are the home team. That's not anything that's outrageous. It's not, because I'm saying some will probably say these people don't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And, for Grambling, it's an opportunity for them not to have to spend the money to come out of the budget for the operating, because they still got to make another trip to Jackson when they play Alcorn later in the year. So that's a savings. So no, each team does not get 750,000. I'm sure those details will come out later, but I will tell you that Jackson will get more than Grambling, and that is okay given the dynamics and how this all works.
I think the thing that probably would make you a lot more excited and comfortable is that, like, this game is being played in a city that's hosted big events before. Like, Super Bowl was there last year. Obviously, they had big boxing matches, big UFC matches, things of that nature over the years. So, like, there's not some janky promotion that's handling this. This is like an avenue that is used to it.
Right.
Used to putting on shows and stuff like that. So, like, nothing to worry about from that standpoint.
Right. Someone mentioned, will the bands travel? There's no way in the world they're going to have an HBCU football event and not
the
have
boom
the
is
band
going for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way that they're going to do that. So yeah, I'm pretty certain both of the bands will be there.
And Vegas gets WrestleMania. They'll have WrestleMania 41 this coming April too. So yeah, Vegas knows how to do it. So this is going to be fun.
So I wonder, okay, like, these two teams been playing in Vegas. Like, what other cities that black colleges normally don't go to for football games that we should think about going to in the future? Like maybe Los Angeles.
Well,
maybe
back in the 70s and maybe early 80s, they were playing all over. They were playing all over the place. But unfortunately, some of these so-called, these classics, some of these promoters didn't necessarily operate in good faith. And it got so bad until, I don't know if the NCAA got involved, but because some of these promoters who lived in some of these cities, the teams were playing, in some cases, didn't have the money to play the teams. And so, they got out of that. But yeah, there used to be, Grambling. I remember Grambling played Alcorn in LA at the Coliseum years ago. Matter of fact, Steve McNair, Fred McNair. Was it Fred McNair? Or was it? I think Fred McNair was the quarterback at the time. And that was in 86, 87. So, yeah, but look, it's not as common as it used to be because, again, we got people who don't necessarily operate in good faith. And the classics that we currently have right now are classics that are, HBCU staples and have proven to be worth, everything they're cracked up to be. You about to say something, Chris?
2001, San Diego, California.
There you go. Yep.
Delaware State and Norfolk State are playing in the Gold Coast Classic.
Gold Coast Classic. Yep.
Neither team got what they were supposed to get.
Yeah.
It's always been a thing. Even as I didn't make the trip because I wasn't on staff as a student reporter then, but I know a lot of the football players because I stayed in the freshman dorm, Conwell, which was a lot of football players were staying there. And those dudes came back, was like, yo, the food was terrible. They put us up in these janky hotels. I was like, see, and even like, you know, even when soon as Ken started saying these promoters, I was like, yep, Gold Coast Classic. Because I'll never forget. My roommate at the time said the best thing about it was we won the damn game and we made it back safe.
But I want to say you mentioned the Gold Coast Classic, but I want to say that they even had multiple years because I want to say Winston-Salem State might have made that trip one year. There was, I want to say it was the game you mentioned, and I think it was someone else. I think there may have been 2 years in which they played. I could be wrong, but yeah, the Gold Coast Classic is one of those games that I do remember being problematic for the teams who participated in that event.
Unbelievable. It was wild times, but yes, hopefully now that everybody knows, I mean, we still have people that are trying to figure out how to put on events, but the more we get stuff like this involved, and you know, the SWAC office, Dr. McClellan, and the Vegas Tourism Board are they deserve a ton of credit for putting this together because this is going to feel like this is going to be an amazing experience for everybody involved.
Which is why it's done. So
yeah,
let's move on, Kendrick.
Yeah, speaking of classics, Florida A&M is going to be back in the Orange Blossom Classic. They're going to be having to play against Howard, a rematch of the Celebration Bowl in 2023. Rattler Nation blog actually broke the story earlier this week that the two teams were going to play each other this fall. Last year, as you know, Florida A&M did not play in the Orange Blossom Classic. That was Alabama State, North Carolina Central who played in it. It was the first time since they kind of revived the game back in 2021 that the Rattlers did not play. But apparently, Denny's and Orange Blossom Classic and FAMU worked something out to have this football game being played back in Miami Gardens again. So, fellas, what are we thinking about FAMU going back to the Orange Blossom Classic and playing Howard, starting with Kenn Rashad?
It seems natural. It seems natural. I now that people were talking about the financials, I would love to know what the financials are. You know, but it seems to be kind of a natural fit for FAMU to be in this game versus and the fact that they're playing Howard, that makes it even sweeter. But you know, if at the very least, and I don't know how realistic this is, but that seems like the type of game to where, you know, FAMU and I don't know, maybe even Bethune-Cookman, you should probably feature one of the Florida schools in that game every year because it's there in Florida versus, you know, whoever the HBCU opponent is going to be. And I think if you can do that successfully, as opposed to who was it? It was at North Carolina Central and Bama State last year, right?
Yep, correct.
You know, didn't have quite the same appeal to me. So if it's something to where maybe you can feature FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, you know, I don't know if it had the same type of pizzazz if you get someone like, you know, some of the other smaller HBCUs that play football. But if you can get FAMU or Bethune-Cookman in that game every year, I think it's a win. So those are my thoughts.
But it's like, is Bethune-Cookman really a draw for something like that?
Well, I mean,
without saying you've been in the game?
Bethune-Cookman, what?
Would Bethune-Cookman be a draw if they just played an Orange Blossom Classic without being attached to FAMU?
I don't know the lay of the land, but I mean the alumni base in Bethune-Cookman. I mean it's in state. I mean, I have no reason to think why I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I get it. FAMU is the largest school, enrollment wise, it's larger, but I mean, I don't know. Is that ever a question when they play every year in Orlando? I don't see a reason why it wouldn't necessarily be supported, even if they did put Bethune-Cookman in there.
Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine, you know, Bethune-Cookman's alumni skipping out on a trip to Miami, especially since a lot of them, I mean, like Ken said, it's a very Florida-centric alumni base. I can't imagine they would skip out on that and just not, you know, attend that game. But if there is a way that they can put Florida A&M in there, then we definitely, then Orange Blossom Classic should definitely make that happen, because you're not going to get a draw when you bring two HBCUs from different areas. It's just not how it just didn't work last year with Central and Bama State. It was a good game on the field,
right?
But
Exactly.
but when we're talking about what really matters, which is putting butts in the seats and money in everybody's pockets, didn't happen. So it has to be Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman, or you might as well junk it. And I hate to say that about the Orange Blossom Classic because they just restarted it, a few years ago. I mean, it was played every year from the Great Depression through the end of disco when they decided to cancel it. And then when they brought it back, it was strictly Florida A&M. And then when Florida A&M decided, okay, we want to have more home games on campus, then that left the Orange Blossom Classic folks in the lurch for a year, and they had to just settle for whoever would come. And that was Central and Bama State. And again, not a bad football game,
right?
But even though
it doesn't have the same appeal. It just doesn't.
It didn't have the sauce. It
Right.
just didn't have the sauce. And Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman should always be involved in these type of games, just for the sake of having a Florida presence.
Right.
Edward Waters and Miami, Florida Memorial are just not that big, to be able to, take care of that, bring that sort of crowd. But it should always be Florida A&M or Bethune-Cookman. That way you're guaranteed at least 15 to 20,000. And if you get a good traveling alumni base, like say Eddie George and Tennessee State want to come down one year, say TC Taylor and Jackson State want to make that trip, or even you can bring North Carolina Central back, but they just have to play against a Florida school.
To play one, exactly, right.
So it just has to be Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman on one side, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that all classics aren't necessarily created equal, and that they all have their own unique, they have their own uniqueness about them, depending on who's involved. For those, because I can't really think of. I mean, you got State Fair is Grambling Prairie View, Bayou is Grambling Southern, Magic City Classic is A&M and State. Granted, you have those traditional rivals, those traditional matchups, but Orange Blossom Classic has the ability to be kind of one of those games to where you may not necessarily get the same matchup every year, but as long as you've got one of the Florida Division I HBCUs against another HBCU, that could be its own unique, like Chris said, its own unique special sauce. Like for instance, Circle City Classic kind of had a reputation for kind of pitting some pretty good Division I matchups when they played every year during the heyday back when up in Indianapolis. And they took a hiatus, and it hasn't quite been the same ever since. Because they've pretty much been focusing, featuring Division II schools. But the Circle City Classic was one of those games to where they would announce two different schools, and sometimes people were like, "Hey, that's a nice matchup. I'm looking forward to that matchup." Not quite the same now like it used to be.
Yeah, like some classes, as you said, Ken, are like, I guess, stronger than others. We talked last week about the Southern Heritage Classic, and that game being in doubt for 2025. But you never know. Like
which game?
The Southern Heritage Classic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, being in doubt for 2025, you don't know whether that game will be played this year involving Tennessee State or somebody else. So it's really important, these promoters, that they really got to have strong teams in these games and support it and try to get the resources there to make sure these games keep going on, because they're draws when they put on really well, when you got attractive matchups, like the fans will come out for them. I'm glad FAMU's back in that game, because they should play in that game every year. It's their signature event along with the Florida Classic. So it's a no-brainer that they get back in that thing. And staying with the Florida A&M thing, we're gonna say something positive about them this time, and it involves their basketball team. The men's basketball team, they beat my Tigers on Monday night in the game in Jackson. That's important because it was their 7th win of the season. Last year, they won a total of 6 games. They have a month and a half left to play in the regular season, and they're definitely going to surpass their win total from last season, all led by this man on the screen, Patrick Crary, who's only given a 1-year contract
1 year. Yep.
By Florida A&M. He's already outperformed it. So yeah, this is one of the most underrated stories in Black college hoops this season. FAMU have been struggling for years. Along comes Patrick Curry, who the board of trustees didn't believe in him, didn't consider him an attractive candidate for the job, and now he's got them with the most wins they had in a couple of years. So Chris Stevens, what do we think about the rise of Florida A&M basketball? I know you're gonna say it. He's gonna say it. Go ahead, give him the line.
Tiffany Dawn's revenge. Got you, Trick. No, seriously. This is
you are serious.
I'm very serious, and I'm gonna show you how serious in a minute. You give this man a 1-year contract, and you sit him in front of your board and say, why aren't we interviewing former NBA players? Why aren't we interviewing higher profile college coaches? And he's got you in the middle of the mix in the Southwestern Athletic Conference race. 4-3, only 3 games behind Southern, a game behind Jackson State, who they just beat for second place, 2 games behind Texas Southern. I mean, for Jackson State for third place, 2 games behind Texas Southern for second place. The man can coach, and Florida A&M has painted themselves into an orange and green corner here, because if this man leads them to a winning record, which would be their first since 2007, by the way, what he can call his own shot. He can literally metaphorically drop, on the table and say, look, y'all didn't believe in me. Look what I've done for your program. Now you need to pay me.
Yep, the price just went up. Yep.
Yeah, the price of brick, to quote The Wire, just went up. Now, if you don't think that a high-level D1 is not looking at him for an assistant coach job, or maybe even another mid-major who says, hey, if that dude can do that with that crap program, imagine what he could do with us when we got resources, and we will be able to give him a multi-year contract. So Florida A&M, that board of trustees, yeah, you got rid of Tiffany Dawn Sykes and a few other people, and you didn't want to keep this guy. Now you got to figure out how you're going to keep him, because if he leads this team to a winning record, he can call his own shot. I mean, it's a great story, but it's a hilarious story too, considering what we know.
He needs an extension right now. Give him an extension right now.
Because you know what I'm saying? The price of eggs last year ain't the price of eggs this year. And the price of eggs this year won't be the same price next year. Pay me my money, bitches. I'm just saying. That's what this really comes down to. You had the opportunity to tie this man down to a multi-year contract. And because you thought you were smarter than Tiffany, because you thought you knew more than Tiffany, the person that you hired initially to lead your athletic department, look at you now. And it's going to cost, it's likely going to cost you more later than it could have cost if you would have done the right thing when you had a chance to do the right thing. So that's where we are. Oh, I can't wait for the year to end, because I want, once it's time to start looking at this contract, I want to see what's going to happen. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he ends up going someplace else.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Curry, definitely coached his way into a better opportunity, either at FAMU with more money, an extension, or somewhere else. I mean, good coaches are hard to find, especially in college basketball, and especially at this level of college basketball. If you have one, you got to keep them as long as you possibly can keep them. And Patrick Curry seems like a guy you really need to keep, because he turned around the program in one season with all the uncertainty around his long-term status as a coach. So I'll be hoping FAMU is working on something right now to keep him on board for longer than one season. It would be a shame if he just lasted one season.
Alexa, play It's Cheaper to Keep Her by Johnny Taylor.
Sometimes it ain't cheaper to keep her, but in this case, it might be.
Yeah, it's gonna be more to keep him now. I'm just saying. He's already proven his value, and like I said, price of eggs going up.
I mean, Dante Jackson made a run last season in the SWAC, won a game in the tournament. He got paid.
He did.
And Patrick Curry could be just that same guy too this season. It'll be fun to see FAMU in Dayton, though, wouldn't it, Ken?
No, it won't be that fun. I'm just saying. But I wouldn't be mad at him at all if he said, "Look, I need you to pay me Dante Jackson money." I'm just saying.
He'd be right to call in for John Calipari money at this point.
Oh, there you go.
Nah, man, don't go there, man. It's a low blow, man.
There you go.
The Arkansas Magic ain't working like it did in Kentucky. He actually got a coach this year.
Oh, shots fired.
It's the truth. Okay, every Wednesday night we have an off topic.
Hold on.
No, we're not done yet, are we?
Wait, you forgot about T-Buck.
Oh yeah.
Come
bad.
On,
See, I forgot. Producer, my bad.
You ready to kick us off there?
T-Buck. Terrell Buckley was named Mississippi Valley State coach last week. This week, you guys entered your press conference where we talked about goals for the football program. One of the first things he said was like the transfer portal is open. If you complain, it works both ways. You can either leave or you can stay. We're gonna roll this train without you. And I find that kind of odd because I don't think Mississippi Valley State is leaning too far on the transfer portal at this rate. But anyway, he feels he needs to use this some type of scare tactics for the players, despite the fact the football team hadn't had a winning season in 20 years. But anywho, Terrell Buckley was asked, you've been coaching for 20 years at various levels of college and pro football. Why are you going to take this job at the school you're taking a job at? And this is where he said,
build a culture, talent, commitment, and then schematically the front, the offensive line, defensive line, and then playing the win, not the lose. So that goes to attitude. And I was telling Dr. Grigg, a new mindset, right? You can't keep doing the same old things and expect something. That's why I'm standing here. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, I know too.
Yeah, shout out to Angela Buckner for the video. Where this came from. Yeah, so he says like Mississippi Valley State can continue to do the same things they did before if they want to win, but never really explained what that was. Trying to figure out how can Terrell Buckley, despite the fact he has a lot of coaching experience and been around various levels of college football, how can he turn this football team around with year one or year three? Starting with Kenn Rashad.
Define turnaround.
I mean, they won one game last year. The bar's pretty low.
It don't take a whole lot to get worse than a 1-win season. Okay, you get 2 wins. If Terrell Buckley manages to squeeze out a win this year, he's proven that he's just as good as the previous coach. Because Valley. Unless, look, I don't want to keep beating the dead horse. We already know what my position is about Mississippi Valley. You're right, Silas. I do believe it's a good hire.
But why? Why is it a good hire?
Hold on. You can't question the hires that Valley has made, especially this one and the last 2 previous coaches that they've had. They've proven that they could coach. The problem has never been coaching. The problem is resources or lack thereof. That's the problem. So, what is Terrell Buckley supposed to say? He's supposed to be optimistic. It's a win. Valley got him a coach. He's got a job. And I guess in theory, everyone's happy. But at some point, we have to recognize what the problem with Valley is. It isn't the coaching. It's not even necessarily the players, or maybe I'm just saying, man, but come on, man, you got to have the money to pay. So that's where we are right now. But I don't know, Kendrick. Just you tell me, man.
I wonder what that contract is like for him. Like, how much are you actually paying him?
I would like to know what the incentives are like. Get 3 wins, we'll give you a bonus.
I don't know if it's 3 wins now. Come on, that's a low blow. 3 wins.
Okay, 2.
Give us a 500 season. Well, no, can't get 500. Give us one short of get 5 and 6, you get a bonus. Beat Valley again, you get $1 million. I mean, you beat FAMU again, you get $1 million. I'm just saying, man. This is not. It's a good hire, but the problem obviously is a lot more deeper than coaching. She loves the. How you doing, lady? Hey, look, look. This is my friend here, man. I owe you a visit. You sent that message to me, and when I tell you I was dog tired last night, I owe you one. Okay, just know that you know how to get in contact with me now. So we'll work it out. I owe you one, but I did not get that message until this morning. So we'll just leave it at that. But no. Look, I mean, I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that, but I'm just saying, man, this is they got him a coach, and I guess that was the number one priority for the football program. But I really don't know if we're really going to expect just a whole heck of a lot more out of Valley this year as what we've seen in the past 2, 3, 4 years.
I don't think so either. But he did mention during his confab with the media that the situation he's in now reminds him of when he was named assistant coach at Akron back in 2012, and Akron was coming off a season where they only had won one game. That's when Terry Bowden was coaching the team. And the next year, 2013, they went 5-7. In 2014, they went 5-7 again. In 2015, they won the Idaho Potato Bowl. So maybe he's thinking, we start out 2025, 5 wins, then 2026, 6 wins, then 2027, Celebration Bowl. That's the goal.
Damn well, you don't believe that. You don't believe that, Kendrick.
Terrell Buckley believes it.
Okay.
Probably going to the Celebration Bowl in 2027. Mark it down right now.
Okay. But look, if they manage to make steps like that, Terrell Buckley won't be the coach at Valley in 2027.
Right. There's our guy with the golf clap.
If Valley wins 5 games, he'd be coach of the year, man. The SWAC.
Okay. That's
No. He would be the Eddie Robinson winner if Valley wins 5 games in 2025. Forget it. North Dakota State, take a back seat. Montana State.
No. Here's one. You win a game in the West and not a Gatorade bag for a non-conference game, you get a bonus.
That's
winning 5 games at Valley equals 10 wins. Wow.
That's exactly right, though. That's exactly right, though.
Yeah. I mean, this is a team that has not had.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie George got an interview with the Bears for winning the OVC Big South. So you never know.
Ooh, Lord have mercy. I think, I can't. I mean, Terrell Buckley can't go in there and say, well, I'm just trying to make sure this program doesn't shoot itself in the foot again. He's got to go in there positive. He's got to say, the things that he said in the press conference. My door is always open. Former football players, come back. I want to see you. Let's talk football. He's got to do that stuff. I mean, who takes a head coaching job in any sport to say, Jesus, we suck. I don't know why I'm here. They wouldn't have hired you if you thought that. So, I mean, and Terrell Buckley, this is a guy, he's not a name brand. He's not Dion. He's not Deshaun. He's not Vic, but he played 15 years in one of the most demanding positions in football. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been a recruiter at different levels of Division I college football. So give him a shot. I mean, granted, you probably shouldn't have walked away from Kendrick Wade as quickly as you did, but if you're going to do that, you probably need to get somebody with a pedigree in place, and that's what Valley has. What Valley can do with his pedigree, that's the question. As Ken said, it is a money thing. This is not us taking pot shots at Valley. We want Valley to succeed. This ain't us, This is one thing we need to be mindful of. There's only one HBCU that I proudly take shots at. Y'all already know which HBCU that is. So, but every other HBCU, I want y'all to succeed, and I want Valley to succeed. But Valley is being handcuffed by the absolute shenanigans that are going on in the Mississippi State Legislature. So until they can figure that out and figure out a workaround with that, it's just going to be hard to be relevant in any sport, not just football, but everything. But if Terrell Buckley can somehow get that team 3 or 4 wins in 2025, then let's forget Coach of the Year. Let's just nominate him for sainthood, because that would be even more impressive than, I would say, Jackson going undefeated or Vic leading Norfolk State to the Celebration Bowl. If Terrell Buckley can get 3 or 4 wins out of that Valley team, we might as well just go ahead and forget that. Let's just make him the Pope. Let's put a smoke tower on top of Mississippi Valley State's highest building and have some smoke come out of it and call him Pope Terrell Buckley, because that would be an accomplishment. But it remains to be seen what happens. I mean, we just have to wait until the season starts, really.
I mean, Texas Southern won 4 games last year with a brand new coach. Why not Valley winning 3 or 4 games? Yeah, Chris Dishman, man.
Shouts out to that Texas Southern Border Regions, man.
Say what? Chris Dishman, what?
He won 4 games last year.
Did you say he should have gotten SWAC Coach of the Year?
Consideration, maybe.
Consideration?
No, I'm joking,
come on, man. No. All right. Oh, okay.
No.
All right. Enough of that.
All right.
Ken don't like talking about Mississippi Valley State, man. We're gonna talk about them though, because they're a proud, respected Black college. So we're gonna talk about them.
Well, at least if they made it to the Celebration Bowl, that would be an event their band actually could be seen in.
Yeah, we'll have to support that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What's next?
Okay, can we do the off topic now, or is it
we can. We're winding down.
Okay, we're winding down. So this is inspired by Chris Stevens, who's our resident music expert, and he wanted to know who was our music GOAT of all time. You can see here in this collage of musicians. You got Jay-Z, you got Kanye, you got James Brown, you got Taylor Swift, you got Whitney Houston, Prince, Michael Jackson, the whole 9. So Chris Stevens, this is your baby. Who do you think is your GOAT of music so far?
Well, y'all already know. I mean, my 2 compadres on the screen already know who my GOAT is, but D-Lo B 2010, great question. Why is Elvis on there? Elvis stole from everybody. But yes, there can only be one answer to this question. And the gentleman with the lack of vision, who was born in Saginaw, made his way to Detroit and has been just the greatest composer, the greatest songwriter.
Don't you do it. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. You about nothing. I think you're about to steal who I think I'm about to agree with you. Go ahead and finish.
Okay. I mean, because I just saw him in concert for the first time in October, and it literally changed my life. It is Stevland Hardaway Judkins Morris Wonder, the only GOAT. When you think about what Stevie's done over the last, remember, this dude came out in 1962 at the age of 12 with Fingertips. How many of y'all on this? How many of y'all watching us were even born in 1962? Our boss wasn't even born in 1962. 1962, I think my mom was in the 1st or 2nd grade, somewhere thereabouts. And Stevie Wonder has been doing this thank you, Michael, for a long time. When you think, there was a point in the 70s where the Grammy Album of the Year had his name written on it. In fact, the one year he didn't win, 1975, Paul Simon thanked Stevie Wonder in his speech for not putting out an album that year. That's how dominant Stevie Wonder was in the 1970s. And just the fact that this man has used his platform to also be an activist, be a philanthropist, be a social justice advocate. You don't get much bigger than Stevie Wonder. Like, there are people, I mean, yes, you could say Michael Jackson. I still think Prince might be a better instrumentalist overall. But when we talk about GOATs, for me, Stevie's the one. But there's a real quick dark horse that not enough people talk about. People are going to say I'm crazy. But people don't give Rick James enough credit for what he did. With, respect to the fact that he rescued Motown from bankruptcy. He made the Temptations hot. He had Eddie Murphy on the pop charts. Don't forget, Eddie Murphy put out Party All the Time because him and Richard Pryor had $1 million bet, because Eddie actually did an album prior and it tanked so bad. Richard Pryor said, you need to stick to comedy. And And Eddie said, "Nah, I bet you $1 million I get a hit." And Rich said, "You're on." And what did Eddie do? Went and called Rick James, and they put Party All the Time together. And Party All the Time came out in the end of 1985, which was a really big year for music. If you're not familiar, I mean, he was up there with Duran Duran, Mr. Mister, so many Tears for Fears. Tears for Fears ran 1985, but Eddie Murphy came in at the end with Party All the Time, and he had white people doing that little, it's the Carlton Banks now, but Courtney Cox was actually doing it in a Bruce Springsteen's video. But yeah, Rick James. I mean, if you have not listened to Rick James' discography, treat yourself. He's my underrated GOAT, but my all-time GOAT is Stevie Wonder.
I agree.
Kenn Rashad.
I can't really add anything to that. I just knew Chris was going to say someone else. Look, man, we're talking about someone who at a young age learned how to play, I think, the piano, harmonica, and the drums. And not to mention, he's a producer and arranger. I mean, there aren't too many people who can do what he does and can't see. I think we are so enamored with Stevie Wonder and his musical brilliance and his genius. I honestly believe, I think we forget sometimes the man can't see. He's blind. And yet he does what he does. So I have no argument with giving Stevie Wonder the GOAT. Now, someone mentioned, and I will say a close second, because you mentioned Rick James, but I'd have to say a close second would be Prince.
Yes.
Would be Prince. And I would probably say Prince would get the GOAT, but Prince can see. I'm just saying. Stevie Wonder's a blind man and is doing what he does. Yeah. But Prince is bad. He can play multiple instruments. He's an arranger, he's a composer, he's an entertainer, he's a showman. He can do it all. But GOAT is definitely Stevie Wonder. Kendrick, what say you?
Hey, only one right answer to this question. Taylor Swift. No, just playing. No.
Oh, wow. Wow. You got industry. Ended.
No, not Taylor Swift. No. No, but seriously though. We mentioned his name. He performed Purple Rain in the Rain at the Super Bowl.
Mm.
The greatest performance of all time in a live event.
Yes. I can't.
Prince could do everything. He could sing, he could dance, he could write, he could act.
You sure about that?
I know exactly right.
I ain't saying he was good. I say he could act.
Hey, I love Purple Rain and Under the Cherry Moon. Like
he made movies.
Else,
he may have made movies. That don't mean he can act. Okay.
he was never under consideration for an Oscar. Never. Sorry.
Come on, Kendrick.
I mean, the bar is pretty low, man. But like, all seriously, like Prince could do like everything except for maybe act, according to Chris Stevens. But yeah, like his discography is filled with nothing but just tremendous hits, man. We all know his hits, his greatest songs. Despite the fact he died like it's been almost a decade now.
2016.
His legacy still lives on, like as the greatest, if not one of the greatest musicians of all time. Yeah, so Prince is my guy, man. Like I was gonna say Michael Jackson, but it would be easy thing to say Michael Jackson, but I give the edge to Prince because like he's multi-talented and still lives a tremendous legacy.
Okay, so let's before we end this real quick. With that same question, female though, who would that be? Greatest female GOAT, the GOAT all time.
It's got to be Aretha. It's got to be Aretha Franklin. When you think about how she started off as a gospel prodigy, then made that jump to what they would call secular music, and Billy Preston had one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard about an artist ever. He's like, Aretha could miss a ton of shows, tick off promoters, tick off producers, but she sits down at that piano and she gets her song, gets her hands all over that piano and sings this song, and you will think that she is the greatest singer that this bleeped up country ever produced. And that's Billy Preston saying that about Aretha. So for me, I mean, well, Terrence has a great point, because I mean, Whitney Houston, I don't know how much Whitney Houston wrote, but you put her voice against anybody else,
right,
and she's smoking them. But I think, but Aretha played and wrote a lot of her stuff as well.
Well,
so
I'm surprised. I see a lot of names being mentioned, especially the females, but there's one that I'm surprised that hasn't been named yet, and I'm gonna tell you now. I'm gonna one up you, Aretha. Like this. It's amazing that when we refer to the females, and even the men to a certain degree, but when we refer to females, we can just simply refer to them by their first name. Everybody automatically knows. But yes. I don't have to go with Patty.
Okay. She's a homegirl. I mean, she's from Philly. She's from up the road.
But look, man, she's got range. And her stage performance is just absolutely phenomenal. So I understand saying Whitney, I understand Aretha, but I think Patty has to go somewhere up in there.
And it's so crazy because her
early. My God. And oh my God. See, this ain't, look, see, now I feel like I'm ashamed of myself. How do you not mention Shaka? See, but anyway.
And Shaka, I mean, her enunciation is second to none. You know, when I'm talking about the technical side of singing, there's never been a time where I've never not understood anything Shaka Khan was singing. And you can go with her solo stuff. You can obviously go with the Rufus stuff. By the way, the best Rufus album, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get into Rufus, is Ask Rufus. Go listen to Ask Rufus, and you'll understand why Shaka Khan is the GOAT and why Rufus is one of the most underrated bands to ever hit the stage. That's all I got.
Look, well, before we end, Chris, might as well go ahead and plug your podcast, man, because I'm telling y'all, man, you guys, Chris, plug your podcast, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks, Ken. So before we get out of here and I hit you guys with our public service announcement, I have started a podcast separate of my own that is everything about music, culture, society, even the struggles of, trying to date as a late bloomer. It's called Chris's 2 Cents. I will drop the link in the chat to the YouTube channel, and you can follow from there and also subscribe to it on Spreaker. And you guys can check out all of my random shenanigans that have nothing to do with HBCU sports, but you'll still get the same passion that I share different as soon as I find a link that I share here on HBCU Sports. And as far as HBCU Sports goes, we thank you guys for watching us as always. If you would like to donate, you can go the Zelle route, donate at hbcusports.com, or you can go straight to the website, hbcusports.com/donate. Be sure to follow us on all manners of social media, which is Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. We are all over the place. So we thank you guys for watching, and be sure to, donate so we can all get to Vegas, basically.
Yeah, because Kendrick then just left us, said we didn't pay him enough, and he then just took off. So anyway, you guys, thank you for watching the stream. We'll see you next time. God bless you.
We out.